San Francisco is dead, and Democrat policy killed it. And this story from ABC7, Hilton, San Francisco Union Square, Park 55 owner, stopping payments on loan, firm announces. They will be surrendering the properties to their lender. ABC reports another blow is being dealt to downtown San Francisco. The investment firm that owns Hilton, San Francisco Union Square, and Park 55 is walking away from its debt and surrendering them to its lender. Park Hotels and Resorts has opted to cease payments on a $725 million loan, according to a press release. This means they're walking away from any equity they had in these properties. They're surrendering the property. This is crazy. Imagine you bought a house and it was 300 grand and you've paid down a decent portion of that. Let's say you paid down 50 grand. And then one day you decide crime is so bad, you surrender the house to the bank and say, we're leaving, and you lose all of that money you put in that property. This is what happens. We saw recently San Francisco ran that tourism commercial, desperate to bring people back, but the city is dead. When Walgreens are closing down, when stores are putting up everything behind glass barriers, you got nothing, man. Nobody's coming. Nobody wants to be in this place, and it's your fault. I have to wonder if these people in these cities intentionally destroyed them. The company intends to work in good faith, the loan servicers, to determine the most effective path forward, which is expected to result in the ultimate removal of these hotels from its portfolio. The 1,921-room Hilton San Francisco is the city's largest hotel, occupying an entire city block. Park 55 has 1,024 rooms. I can't imagine they're going to be completely vacant. There are so many tourists still there. There is business going on here. They are needed. Yes, they probably do not have the occupancy rate that they want to have. The firm cited the continued debt burden of the two hotels on its portfolio and multiple factors that have made the San Francisco market less desirable for their business. Could it be the human feces everywhere? I mean, just one guess. In a presentation given to investors last month, Park Hotels and Resorts said San Francisco made up 16% of their sales in 2019, compared to just 3% over the last 12 months. That's massive. Their key concerns are record levels of office vacancy, fewer employees returning to offices, and ongoing concerns over safety and security. Those things have to be improved for the sake of everyone, and there hasn't been as much progress as we'd like to see for sure. Robert Sammons, a senior research director for real estate giant Cushman and Wakefield, says the narrative about the city surrounding crime, homelessness, and drug use, on top of other retailers leaving entirely, hasn't helped the situation. Still, he believes it won't be long before new owners step in. It's the urban environment in general that has become the narrative, right? Right. That everyone is speaking about, and it's slowly starting to turn around in a lot of markets. And it has begun to start turning around in San Francisco, but not fast enough. London Breed, the mayor, released a statement on Monday confirming these businesses will continue to operate and no jobs will be lost at this time. These kind of ownership changes happen, but these hotels will remain open and blah, 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 blah. There's lots of homeless people, drug use. The city is crumbling before our very eyes. They're going to have to subsidize this. The SF Hotel Council said in a statement that the hotels will stay open for business. Park Hotels, blah, blah, blah. We get it. Congratulations, San Francisco. You've done it to yourself. You've voted for it over and over and over again. And these people just don't learn. From the Post Millennial, Rite Aid shutters another drugstore in Seattle amid spiking crime. And yes, my friends, I bring you my favorite. Seattle Fire Department reels after 2 attempts to steal fire engines. What? I hate laughing at all this stuff, but I think you get it. I think, sadly, you get it. It's the absurdity of the modern world. Stealing fire trucks? San Francisco, man, wow. Hotel, the Hilton, abandoning the property. Here you go from the Post Millennial. Seattle firefighters have reported 2 instances of people attempting to steal their fire engine while crews were responding to calls last week. According to the Seattle Fire Department, 2 instances in 1 week. According to the Seattle Fire Department, On Wednesday, while the crew of Engine 10 was responding to a fire at the intersection of 8th Avenue and Spring Street and away from the vehicle, they returned to find an approximately 40-year-old woman sitting in the driver's seat. Como News reported she was unsuccessful and was offered mental health resources. While the Engine 10 crew was responding to an overdose call on Thursday at 3rd Avenue and Marion Street, an approximately 50-year-old woman got into the fire truck driver's seat. According to the outlet, the firefighters were able to get the woman out of the fire engine before she could operate the vehicle, and she was taken to Harborview Medical Center for a mental health evaluation, because that's what people trying to steal fire trucks need. Seattle police told the outlet that it wasn't the same woman involved in both incidents. In August 2022, it was revealed that Seattle firefighters have increasingly become the victims of dozens of violent and dangerous attacks. Their union called out city officials for the impact that this hostility is having on firefighter safety and the critical services they provide. In December, it was also revealed that many of the suspects have not been charged or have been released from custody. And yes, they'll probably end up doing it again, given the opportunity. In response to the attacks earlier this month, the Seattle City Council voted to expand the city's municipal code regarding obstructing a public officer to include firefighters. That same council repeatedly defunded the already short-staffed police department following the George Floyd riots that rocked the city in the wake of the spring and summer of 2020. The wake of the spring? You mean the wake of the death of George Floyd? Additionally, the city implemented a COVID vaccine mandate following the lead of Democratic Governor Jay Inslee, which increased the exodus of officers. A spike in violent crimes, including homicides, followed. The department is down close to 600 officers, and 911 response times have decreased. The city's COVID vaccine mandate also led to the termination of firefighters leaving the department, similarly short-staffed and forcing SFD to brown out units from service. Man. Additionally, a $10 million lawsuit has been filed against the city of Seattle after the defunding of the police allegedly led to the wrongful death of William Urich because his address was accidentally on an outdated blacklist for hostility toward first responders because of a previous tenant. Police are required to enter a domicile that is on the blacklist to secure the scene for other first responders, according to Seattle's policy. No officers were available, and Urich's 13-year-old son, who called 911, watched his father die. Wow. Don't live in these places, man. Jeez. I can't believe it. It's sad stuff. CVS shutting down, huh? I'm sorry, Rite Aid. And Wednesday, Rite Aid, owner of Seattle-based Bartell Drugs, announced it will permanently be closing the chain's Ballard location at 15th and Market on June 8th as the area continues to grapple with rampant shoplifting and crime. Let me tell you guys a story. I lived in Seattle, and I was in Fremont, so not that far away from Ballard. And I knew people who would walk into grocery stores with shopping carts, fill them up like they were shopping, and then just walk right out the door. And nobody would ever stop them. And I was like, are you kidding? It's like hundreds of dollars worth of groceries, a full cart, and they just walk right out. And you know what they said? The employees aren't allowed to stop them, and the police don't respond fast enough to do anything about it. So quite literally, it's just the food's free. And I'm like, well, it's not free. You're stealing it. And they're like, sure. But if the employees can't even approach you and the police can't look, they were like, the amount of time it takes me to walk out the door and just leave with this cart, nothing they can do about it. Literally nothing. And they would do it all the time. I'm like, don't they know who you are by now? Doesn't matter. You walk in, they can't stop you. Not allowed. Fill up the shopping cart, walk to the door. By the time you get to the exit, you have to walk out to actually have stolen things. Then they can call the police and say, someone just walked out with a cart full of groceries. And you know what the police say? So they're gone? Well, yeah. What do you want us to do about it? File a report, I guess. Okay, tell us your report. We'll take it down. And that's it. Nothing more could be done. You saw that story with, I think it was Lululemon. The two women followed out the shoplifters filming them. They got fired. That's right. Employees aren't allowed to engage. They have loss prevention officers a lot of these places, but even then they can't do anything. I'll tell you some crazy stories. I know people who, it's happened to me and my friends. We'd be shopping at Walmart and we would buy something. And as we're walking out, a security guard would come up and be like, hey, and grab us. I remember I was at a Home Depot and we bought a bunch of boxes And I think we bought boxes. That's what happened. And we were leaving after having paid for them. And a security guard grabbed the cart and was like, where do you think you're going? It's like, dude, we paid for these. Here's the receipt. Don't grab me. But that's why they're not allowed to engage, because it's assault. Someone can't just come up to you and grab you. So now you get the inverse. I would not mind a security guard being like, receipt, please. Being like, you can't leave with a cart. In fact, the door shouldn't open. You should walk up and the door should remain closed. And then he presses a button to open it. That's what they're doing now at a lot of places, though. There's a Walgreens in Chicago that doesn't even have products. You walk up to a kiosk and press it, pay for it, and then they'll bring it to you. That's the future. These cities are just crumbling. It's unfortunate. And it leads us to dark places. Whatever, man. You reap what you sow. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.